This is old Mr. Kent, and this is a shot of what it looked like when my son first moved into this property a couple of years ago. And that animal shelter, he wanted to put in a hay barn right next to the animal shelter, right in that area where the hose is hanging on that diagonal fence. And so his plan was to move the diagonal fence straight back to where it meets the corner of the other corner of the animal shelter, and then he could build his hay barn right there. And so this is a video I took, some clips from the video I took when he did that. You can see where the fence used to be, and he's in the process of getting tearing it up, and then he's going to be moving it back. And there he is. He's got it. These are clips from the video, but he's got it moved back to the corner like he intended. So now recently he decided, well, he wants to take that fence just all the way out and run a fence from the corner of the. This is just recently here. He wanted to run that fence from the corner of the animal shelter straight back to the fence line, and so that's his father-in-law. They came to visit for a week, and so he decided, well, now's a good opportunity. And so he's going to go ahead and pull that fence up and move it over, and that's what this video is about. One of the reasons he wants to do that is because he has started himself a little business, and he does automotive repair and maintenance, plus he does the restoration of old cars. And you can see in the right side of the picture there that there's an old car that he's planning on restoring. And he also restores vehicles for other people. The only problem is, if you've been watching any of my videos recently, you know that there's body parts, automotive body parts, all over the area behind us here. And so when people come in to do business with him, and people who don't know what's going on, to them it kind of looks like a junkyard. And the neighbors next door, they're trying to sell their house, and so he wanted to kind of clean it up for all kinds of reasons. So he's going to move this fence over to where it goes straight back, and that will give him what area we're looking at. That will become a lot of storage space, parking space, place to put things that kind of look ugly out in the front part. So we're going to watch the process of how he does this. And by the way, his business is Gunny Built, and here's a picture of his business card. If you're in the Phoenix area and you need automotive work done, his rates are, I'm sure his rates are lower than most, and he loves to work on vehicles. So there's his email address is gunnybuilt@gmail.com. So now they're about ready to move that fence over, as you can see. That's kind of how he did the first one. For the first time he moved it, he just pulled it up with a tractor and moved it. And so they have to be kind of careful not to scratch the side of their antique car. That's an old Impala. And you can see that the holes for the posts are already dug. He very carefully measured everything out. And then his father-in-law is pretty muscular, and he just took the post hole digger, and he just did a good job of getting the holes made. Didn't take him very long. He's a lot bigger than me or my son. And so they're just going to get them all lined up here. And that tractor comes in for useful for a lot of things. And so anyway, we'll just kind of watch them go, and I'll explain what's going on as they progress here. And the animal shelter now, we just have chickens and goats. But over the past couple of years, there's been at least 3 horses and a couple of donkeys and several other goats. So that they're still having their little farm, but they've kind of narrowed it down. As his oldest daughter, who loves horses, she has gotten married and moved out, and so nobody is really a horse lover, so no more horses and no more donkeys. So there, that almost got them in the head, or maybe it did. So now they got the fence in the holes, and now it's a matter of just getting everything lined up and put in the right place and squared away. There's actually 90 minutes of video, but I just cut it down to about 20 minutes so that people would enjoy watching it. But I covered the whole thing with my DJI Mini 3, and I ended up filling up my SD card. And so the last part of this video, of this 20-minute video, the last part is from the screen recorder. So instead of being 4K, it's 1080. But I didn't realize that I could fill that card up by just making video after video after video. And well, I knew you could, but I didn't realize it would fill up so fast. Now, if I'd have gone 2.7K, probably it wouldn't have filled up so fast. So now they got it in the holes, and they're gonna get that. That's a gate which has never been used. It's there if you need it, and so they're keeping that gate because you never know when you need to maybe move a vehicle in there or not. And like I said, his father-in-law is pretty buff, and so he doesn't take him. He doesn't have too much trouble moving things when he wants to move them. And it's amazing how they measured everything out and got it perfect, because those fence posts went right in the holes. So now they're thinking about it. Should we do this, or we should do that? And by the way, down there and at the top of the screen, that's the fifth wheel that his mother and father-in-law live in now, and they travel around in that. And so they're here for a week, and we'll go down and we'll take a look at it. He was a welder all his life, and so as you'll see when we get up here, he's got a big old welder on the back of his truck, but he doesn't carry any welding rods. He uses it as a generator for the fifth wheel. And but he spent his life welding, and that Montana trailer looks a lot like, if you remember some of my previous videos when we did the roofing thing, and I happened to see somebody with a trailer like that. Anyway, I think that was a Montana trailer. And you can see now that that's a piece of the old fence from the previous video that I was talking about, when he took out a lot of fence in order to move that diagonal back. So he had a lot of leftover fence materials, and so that's the piece they're going to use to fill in there. And my son also is a welder, excellent welder, plus, like I said, an automotive mechanic and diesel mechanic, and very talented. And so they got to cut it to shape and weld it back on, to weld it together. And if you've been following my channel, you know that I have a new piano keyboard, which I'm learning to use so I can put music in the background of my videos. And so he's going to cut that piece to length. And so this video, I haven't figured out what music to put in the background, but you can you can be assured that I'll be putting some piano music in. But I have to get caught up on practicing. Okay, he's got that cut. And now it's a matter of seeing if it fits. In it goes. Looks like it's about right. Now you see that goat in the pen there, just to the left of his father-in-law. That goat is in the pen because it's so much trouble. It's a billy goat. All right, now this is quite a bit of time went by in the meantime here. He backed his truck up, and like I said, the only reason they did that was in order to have 220 or 110 volts, and then the little square blue box on the ground, that's the welder they're going to use. And so, well, look at the billy goat over there. You see how he's trying to eat the cord? He is a real troublemaker, which is why he's in there. He'll come up and butt you when you're not looking. Okay, time to fasten things together. And there's a lot of welding that I didn't cover all of the welding, just here and there. And if in the previous video I was talking about where they moved the fence, I got a video of him welding the fence that's in the way that he's moving. He welded that in place. That used to be up the other corner of the animal shelter. And you can see that truck sitting there, that truck cab. That's what I'm talking about. It's not junk. It's a body part that he can use. So they got it straightened out. Now my son is welding the two pieces together at the angle it's supposed to be. And when I was teaching welding years and years ago, I could weld, but I couldn't weld like my son can. I couldn't weld upside down. Of course, the welders we were using back then, they were the old AC welder. I didn't have a wire feed welder until many years later, but when I was teaching welding, all we had was just an AC welder, and the hot metal would always be dripping on you. If you're an old welder, you know what I'm talking about. Actually, they still have them. So they got that welded in to where they needed it, and now it's time to pour some concrete into the holes to hold the posts in place. And what he's mixing up the concrete in the scoop of his tractor, which I never would have thought of that. And you can see the body parts over there on the right side of the screen. Those will stay there. He just wanted the ones, as you'll see at the end of this video, he just wanted to move the ones that were the welcoming sight as you drive into the driveway. And so we'll take a little clip of that near the end of the video. And there's another, that's a Ford Futura. I can't remember what year it is, but it's back in the 60s, I think. And and that one and his Impala over there, they're going to be parked in the new parking area, along with a lot of other pieces of restorable body parts. And so in goes the concrete. I had to be careful flying my drone sideways because The Mini 3 Pro doesn't have any side object avoidance. But I'm so used to flying around in this yard, because that's where I generally do a lot of my flying, that I have become aware of the flagpole, which I've run into, and the animal shelter, and the fifth wheel trailer, all the things that I have almost run into or have run into. And my son's going to take that long pole and tamp down the concrete as his father-in-law shovels it into the hole. My son also, when there's another way of doing it, you can actually pour the concrete into the hole before you mix it, and then put water in there and stir it around, and it still works just fine if you do it right. But this is a smarter way to do it, I guess you'd say. And it looks like they measured out just enough concrete to fill the hole. And by the way, they started out at the corner out there, at the end where the gate goes, to make sure that they had plenty of concrete at that post, instead of starting down here by the animal shelter. And then if they were to run out, then the one that's important for the gate wouldn't have the right amount of concrete. So now they got that done. Time to take out the fence that he moved a couple of years ago. And it's just going to go into storage behind the fifth wheel, which I don't know if I covered all that in the video or not, but anyway, so they're taking the gate off, and then they'll carry it back behind the fifth wheel, and then they'll take the rest of the fence and carry it behind. And they worked all day, and this isn't the end of the day, but it's as you can see by the shadows, they started early in the morning. If you go backwards in the video and look at the shadows at that point in the time, they've been working for several hours, and they had to grind off a little more weld, and then finish up. Looks like that's going to do it. Okay. So here they are. They're going to carry it back behind the RV, the fifth wheel, and store it with there's a lot of other fence parts back there. You can see them laying there on the ground next to the neighbor's fence. And so that's where all these pieces are going to go. And my son, of course, instead of taking a hold of the end, he carries it halfway down, which takes some of the weight off his father-in-law. Now his father-in-law sees how much more heavy it is, because my son got down to the end to be able to get it in there. Okay, so this is kind of a boring part, but I think it's just right after this, somewhere along in here, that my SD card became filled up, and I had to, when putting the video together in the editor, I had to use my screen recorder part. So that's how we store all that old fence behind the RV. When my wife and I moved out here, we didn't think about the fact that we were just going to live in the RV for the rest of our lives. And then, if you've been following my channel, you know that my son built us a little bungalow add-on to his shop. And so that's where we live. We live over there on the upper left-hand corner of the picture there. Okay, now they got to pull that one out. that one doesn't want to come out very well. That old piece of, see there's a lot of concrete. when he dug the holes for that, when he moved it back, he got a actual motorized fence post hole digger, and that made much bigger holes. As you can see, the concrete is pretty thick and heavy on that, which is why the tractor was wanting to tip over instead of pick up the fence. And so that's what it looks like now, since the fence is finished, and he's got some body parts along with the two old-fashioned cars, and they're all stored away. So when somebody drives in, this is what it's going to look like. So this is it. This is what it looks like now when somebody drives in, and as you can see, there's not as many body parts sitting around at the entrance to his little shop. So anyway, that's it, and so I want to thank you for watching the video, and God bless.